Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're breaking down our picks for the top 5 and one worst level 3 Paladin Spells.
Indeed.
Right. This is level 3 of 5.
Indeed. Paladins always have Divine Smite, and they can use 4th level or lower slots to do that. And they do a bunch of bonus damage on hit. You can, if you crit, you can just be like, oh, I'd like to also crit my Divine Smite, please. That's allowed. You can just do that. If you know you roll a 20, why not do an extra 8d8 damage? Paladins are busto. Anyway, the spell list is not busto. The spell list is like, yeah, some of these are decent. You're getting them at 9th level, which is 4 levels later than your full caster friends. We're leaving the realm of like this still being a reasonable time to get these spells. That like 2nd level spells at 5th level are like it's fine. 3rd level spells at 9th. That's a bit worse.
All right, and my caveat: Sam picks his in order, one best to worst. I don't. I just picked the 5 that seemed the coolest to me, in no particular order. And I think last time level 2 spells I kind of had an order. This one, not so much.
I honestly don't know if I have an order here either. I will. They'll be ordered because they have to be because of tradition.
You will mention them chronologically. Yes.
That's definitely something that will occur.
What did you? All right. I don't think either of us were super excited about this list.
Let's rip this Band-Aid off. I'll put it on my number 1, but it's a little bit late. I think I don't know if it's like this is competing with 5th level spells, so it's like kind of not really. I think Revivify probably has a home to be prepared on a lot of Paladins. I think you're pretty happy to just be like, I mean, I don't need to always use my 3rd level Divine Smites. I can bank one for Revivify in case I can't get to somebody, and then you're pretty fine pulling this out for 300 gold, gets them back to life. It's a big tier of play, it makes things harder to die. You put this alongside a cleric, and all of a sudden the group feels invincible. Sure, it's going to be routinely, I think, something that's easy to prepare and going to be useful once or twice a campaign.
All right, Revivify also made my list. What I was trying to do, I took the half caster thing into mind, thinking, all right, we're 9th level, getting 3rd level spells, so I'm looking for things that will be effective, something that like an effect that doesn't rely on like damage that's outdated by this point. And Revivify is that. If somebody drops dead, bringing them to life will always be appreciated.
Yes. The difference between being dead and having alive as your condition is way better at all tiers. Like a level 18 character dying is awful. It's so much investment, so many experience points down the toilet, but Revivify undoes all of those. So it scales great.
Yeah. And it's cheap.
It's dirt cheap. 300 gold, that's a steal at 9th level. I recently did a breakdown of I was just doing, oh god, I needed gold for some reason. Oh, I was doing Simulacrum in Wizard, and I was calculating how many Simulacrums you could make, and I had to figure out by what tier you get them, how much gold are you expected to have, and I was like, wow, you're supposed to have just thousands and thousands and thousands of gold pieces by 13th level. So like 300 gold is a drop in the bucket. That's nothing.
All right. Let's see what else I've got here. All right, in the same spirit, I picked Dispel Magic.
That's my number 2. I think.
Yeah. Like I just said, it's something to have if you need some magic dispelled. And I guess like Revivify, the higher level you get, the more you appreciate it. 1st level character dying, I'll roll a new one. But if you invest 18 levels into it, Revivify is that much better. Same with Dispel Magic. You get high enough level, the magical effects that you're dispelling are probably going to weigh heavier on you.
This is true. I also really like that, like you suggested, if someone casts a 9th level spell, a mass polymorph, this deals with one of them as easily as it deals with any others. Well, not as easily, but close to as easily as it deals with any other spell. You can use this on 7th level enchantments. You can use this on, your polymorphs, your hold persons, your dominate persons, all of the big spooky, your party is going to die if this is unresolved kind of effects. That's useful. I like having that on my character sheet. And again, another thing that I didn't mention as a caveat, but I think is relevant, I mentioned Divine Smite at least. You could always sink slots into Divine Smite. It's an easy place to put them. And you don't always need Dispel Magic, but whenever you do need it, it's really, really, really high impact.
Yeah.
This makes it really easy to put on Paladin because you go, I don't always need to cast this, but I also always have a really good option prepared. I can always just sink a bunch of D8s into something. So develop spell magic fits pretty cleanly there. You can go, okay, when I need to absolutely decimate something and I don't care about that, I know there's no hold monsters or anything coming, great, I'll just smite. But if suddenly a hold monster shows up, you still might have a 3rd level slot in the bank. You have dispel magic at the ready. No issues there.
All right, what else you got?
My number 3 is a spell I really dig. This is one of my favorite spells Paladins get access to. I love that it's Paladin exclusive. And in a vacuum, with no other characters, it's possibly the worst spell in the game. You play in context. It's Crusader's Mantle. So this gives every creature within 30 feet of you that you choose a bonus d4 on their hits for their damage. So, like, if you've got multi-attacking allies, like a monk, 44 bonus damage on their turn. That's sweet. If you got, summoned allies, if you've got other creatures around you, each non-hostile thing around you does bonus damage when they hit with weapon attacks. So you can just kind of like, if you can stack 3 or 4 creatures inside of it that are making extra attacks, everyone just starts hitting like a bus. You also hit like a bus. I don't spend my action on it, but if you have enough payoff, if you have enough creatures around you, it can do a decent giant chunk of damage. It is just pretty composition dependent, is the number one issue with it.
Yeah, I looked at this one. I ended up not putting it on my list. It's extra D4 radiant damage, right?
Per hit.
Per hit. Yeah, that's something.
So an average martial character gets 2 of them, 2d4 per martial character. You also get 2d4 per martial character. You also add 2d4 to that mix. I think if you get 64 out of this round, it's better than a smite on average. That can happen. It won't happen in every party though.
Yeah, this is probably better than I gave it credit for. I was thinking, but everybody's got to be close to you, but then 30-foot radius is pretty big.
And like Paladin's whole shtick is keep everyone around you. You get the aura of protection or whatever that gives everyone the bonus to saves, and you have your auras and your subclasses that give different boons and bonuses, like Ancients giving the resistance to magic damage and stuff. Like,
yeah.
I think there's good reason to take near a Paladin if you're not going into Fireball formation to like a Red Dragon or something. But I think often if you are in a specific composition, this can look very good. I will definitely get a caveat. You're the only martial character in the group. Nope, this is no business being on your sheet. This is Divine Favor for a 3rd level spell slot that costs you an action to use. Absolutely not. You definitely need to be in the right situation for this to be a banger. But in that situation, it's excellent. So,
yeah. All right. Well, what's my next pick then? Let's see. Yeah, these I'm getting a little less excited about these as I go down the list. But I do have one more that it's like that on or off switch. I got Magic Circle.
I looked at it and I was like, that has to be bad, right? I don't remember what it does. Enlighten me as to why Magic Circle made your list so I can, while I read it over again.
All right, you choose a type of creature. Celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead.
Yeah.
Pretty big list. I like that. The creature can't willingly enter the cylinder by non-magical means. So you got a little protective wall. The creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets within the cylinder. Okay. And targets within the cylinder can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by the creature, which is by the creature.
Yeah, you make a circle, and you stand in the circle, and you designate a creature of the chosen type.
But so not a type of creature.
The circle affects a creature of the chosen type.
What? Wait a second, where is this?
The second line of text in the spell description. Choose one or more of the following types of creatures. The circle affects a creature of the chosen type. The spell is hot trash, Bob.
Oh, man.
It takes a minute to cast.
Well, yeah, when I put this on the list, I was thinking, all right, just all creatures of that type. But no, one lousy creature.
Yeah, that imp.
Oh. Well, what's done is done.
Yeah, Magic Circle is the kind of spell that you prepare to do the consulting with a demon kind of thing, where you summon something into the world and try and bind it to your will, and you put a magic circle down that it can't escape, and you trap it in there or whatever. Or
because it's got a reverse form too.
Yes, that's the point of this spell, and it's good for that singular encounter. And outside of that, I would say close to useless, unless you're going against one specifically powerful demon.
Yeah, if you got a powerful demon that's getting up in your face, you can either trap it or you can protect your party and attack it and hope.
To trap it, you needed to stand still for a minute while you draw a circle around it. So like,
all right. Well, man, that really bums me out.
Yeah, I love this spell thematically. It's just hot trash.
Did we do this spell already?
I think we've done the spell, yeah. And I remember being like, this spell wasn't very good. I'm not going to read it again. And I'm glad we did have this chat though, because this might be my worst now.
Oh, well, crap. Move on.
All right. I'm gonna pick this one because a lot of people gave me a lot of crap for being like, but while it's not that good in combat, it's really great out of combat. All right, fine. For how awful the Paladin third level spell list, Aura of Vitality gets to be on it as one of its top 5s, and that's not an endorsement of Aura of Vitality. It's a scathing indictment. That's the word I want.
Indictment.
Right? Indictment. Thank you. One of those words. Of all of the Paladin.
I like that better.
Put that in your next book.
A scathing indictment.
Yeah, and scathing indictment of all the third level Paladin spells. Any case, it's fine. It's a big chunk of healing. You cast it, you spend a minute, and you go, all right, everybody, we're getting 20d6 hit points divided amongst the group. You get 35, you get 35-ish. And then that's kind of like 3 or 4 hits the next fight for a third level slot. I don't love it. You have lay on hands. You don't really need this much extra healing, especially because you got like at this tier, you got 45 hit points just sitting around. Because again, you have a 9th level paladin with 45 hit points of lay on hands to do stuff with. Get about 40 of them. Use the third level slot to do like a smite or any of the spells mentioned prior, like Dispel Magic, or also using your oath spells. So like you can get haste in your oath spell lists. You can get a lot better, more powerful, interesting stuff from your oath spells. Those are often going to be better than your average paladin spell. I consider doing all those before preparing this. But if you're at a table where it's like, okay, we know we're doing 2 short rests, and we know we're getting hit by like 4 billion points of damage, sure, this will be a nice little like, okay, everyone sit down. Here's my level spell. Have 75 hit points.
You know what? This also made my list, and I didn't begrudgingly put it on there. I kind of like this one.
I don't.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. If, and I guess it's a pretty big if you got nothing else to do with your concentration or your bow. Oh shit, it's an action. God damn it.
Sure is.
All right,
The
forget
action
it.
to set up. It's a bonus action to use once the combat
Oh,
starts.
all right. Then it still stands. Good. All right, it's a bonus action to use then. All right, so yeah, I'm thinking you cast at the beginning of a combat, and it's like infinite healing words. You know, if your party members start dropping, boom, get back up.
So my struggle with that in combat, right, is that if you're casting this going into a fight, if someone is about to die, you probably should have just used this prior. Otherwise, the fight's going to happen. 6 rounds are going to go by. You're going to hope this is still up, and then party members start dropping, right? It's not like you're going to run into a fight and Jimmy over there is just going to immediately drop, like round 1.
Or you don't have to wait till they drop. You can, if you're not doing anything else with your bonus action, somebody gets hit, you know, use it. Why not?
Sure.
This will keep them from dropping.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's a lot better out of combat, because then you don't even have to spend the action as the prep to do it. I don't want to forgo 2 attacks to set this up. Basically ever.
What do you mean?
Especially because you're also foregoing it because it takes an action to set up, right? So
that's one.
Yeah, and you make 2 attacks as your action.
So
you have extra attack.
Okay, yes.
And that's could be smiting with this, but could be an extra good chunk of damage. 5d8 is not nothing.
Yeah.
I do not want to use this in combat if I could possibly help it.
I probably would. You know, it'll feel nice.
You'll have haste on some characters.
Unless I've got something better to use.
You'll have Crusader's Mantle on some characters. You'll have all kinds of other concentration. All kinds. You can get Summon Celestial at 5th level. That's pretty spicy, but that's 17th level, so you know that's maybe never happening.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't feel as badly about this one as you do. Is that your number 5?
My number 4.
Oh, all right. So you were not excited about this, and that was your number 4.
I don't like this list.
No, well, clearly not. If you got an aura spell that's not your last pick, then yeah, that's not a good sign. What's
right,
your?
what else do you got?
Oh, is it my turn? Yeah,
I did Aura Vitality.
Right. I had it on my list too. What else do I have? We talked about that. That. All right, I think this is my last one. I got Spirit Shroud.
I don't know if this is better or not than my last pick, and I think it is closer than it looks.
All right, I forgot what it does. Let's see.
It does a bonus d8 damage on hit, and any creature that takes damage can't regain hit points.
Yeah, I like that line of text. That's interesting.
And things around you are slowed.
Now that I don't care so much about. I mean, if I'm hitting them, I'm probably within 10 feet of them anyway. Or so, you know, the, what is the slowing effect doing for me?
Very little.
Yeah, this is what we talked. Was it Fury of the Frost Giant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're within 10 feet of something, slowing it is not that meaningful. You care much more about slowing things that are further away, because that makes them spend actions to get to you, as opposed to spending things that are close to you and they just go, I wasn't using that anyway. Cool. And then keep someone going on with their life. I think this reads basically like a third level version of its concentration for only a minute. So like I think this reads pretty close to something like Hunter's Mark, but for a much smaller duration and not nearly enough extra damage. If you cast it with a 5th level slot, you get 2d8 damage per hit, which is a big jump. And you can't smite with 5th level spell slots, so maybe you want to go all in on just big pile of radiant damage. So you do this in addition to doing the divine smite. So you're like 5th level, I bonus action, get my spirit shroud up. I do 2d6 greatsword attack with 2d8 spirit shroud with 48 plus or 40 or 5d8 radiant damage on a smite, and you just like put a crater where something was. That I could see maybe happening, but I think I still probably want like other different effects, especially for 17th level. I don't know.
Let me ask you, how much do you value the line that any damage that takes damage, or any creature that takes damage can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn?
I don't value that at all.
Not at
I
all.
think that's functionally meaningless. Huzzah! Trolls have been bested by a 3rd level necromancy spell from the Paladin class. So fire damage
for 10 seconds or 6 seconds.
Yeah.
But what about not just trolls? What about enemy spellcasters, or people that can be healed by spells or whatever?
In a game that is largely good versus evil, the evil team is not normally in the business of keeping their friends alive. The evil team is much more the business of doing the killing. So that's why I think we tend to see a lot less clerics. And if we do see clerics, they're the kind of clerics that are inflicting wounds, not curing them, generally speaking. So I don't think the healing magic is happening basically at all from the monster side. I think that the majority of monsters are a pretty far gap. Like, player features and monster features are very different things. Healing spells largely fall in the camp of player features. Monster features are largely to kill you in some meaningful way. But, conditions on some damage.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall a bunch of foes healing each other.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen.
Played.
Mostly they're like, again, if we're looking at like evildoers, selfishness is a big enemy combatant, right? The band of goblins scurry off and ditch their boss at the first sign of trouble, right? That's the kind of characters we're dealing with, and whenever you're looking at enemy combatants. Like, undead don't really give a crap if their zombies keep dying. They'll just make new zombies. They don't necessarily want to mend them. Demons and fiends and stuff they don't care at all. That leads like trolls, and trolls they have regenerate, and this turns off regenerate.
Yeah.
Neat.
For a few seconds.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get the hits every round, that's fine.
Yeah.
But fire damage does that too. Ultimately, I think I like Spirit Shroud on it exactly only on Warlocks, because they could use the 5th level slot consistently, and they get the 2d8 bonus damage at 9th level, which lets their multi-tech characters kind of keep up, but then this concentration is still a bit of an issue. I don't love it, but it's fine on that specific archetype, I think. I think Paladins have a lot harder of a time using it. It's not uncastable, I don't think, because again, d8 extra damage on hit is fine, but like, if you consider a 3rd level Divine Smite would be doing 48 damage at a floor, or sorry, 2d8 for first, 48 at a floor. You need to hit 2 rounds of extra attack with this for it to make up in damage.
Yeah.
That can happen, it also cannot. And so then you're like, I think normally I want the 48 damage up front when I know I'm gonna get it.
All right, well, what's your number 5?
I heard this pains me. This almost makes me nauseous. It's Blinding Smite.
Blinding Smite, wow. We got an aura spell and a smite spell from you.
There's like 10 of these, okay? Less than that. One of them is create food and water, so like that's not let's not kid ourselves like this is an excellent list or something. As far as the smite spells goes, this is one of the better ones. I still hate that it's concentration. I still hate that it's bonus action set up as opposed to just like on hit, you spend the spell slot like regular Divine Smite is. This is, you're trading, assuming you're not concentrating on anything, you're trading a d8 radiant damage for a blind for a minute. And this actually kind of like has a meaningful usage of the concentration because the blind is based on your concentration and based on concentration saving throws. So this is the kind of thing where you do enough damage and you're trading a D8 for a minute-long blind. That's usually worth it. I can be pretty fine doing that. Now, do I put this on my sheet if I have any other utility stuff I'd rather be doing? No. I would much rather take the utility stuff like over this every single time. That being said, if I want an in-combat trick, if I want an in-combat way to apply a condition while also hitting things like a truck, and I'm not concentrating on anything, it's a really big important element. I don't care what my concentration's doing. Blinding Smite's really harmless and a decent way to get a blind whenever you need one.
Yeah. That probably should have made it my list above a couple of the other ones I picked. But
Maybe Magic Circle?
yeah, definitely. Man, I feel betrayed. This is
I think when we did Magic Circle, we had the exact same flip. I think last time I said all creatures are affected by it, and I still thought it was bad. And you were like, no, Sam, read it again. It's just one.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. Wow. I should have remembered that.
Tragic. But yeah, Blinding Smite is, of the Smite spells, one of the better ones. But we're still in like C territory as far as like how good these are. So Paladins don't have a great options. Again, their oath spells are really important. Their level oath spells can be pretty defining. Things like haste are on them. You got things like other ones that I'm sure are good.
All right. Well, I guess we've picked our top 5. Well, let's go over the list again. What do you got?
Revivify, Dispel Magic, and then 3 that I'm like, Crusader's Mantle on specific tables. Sometimes it still takes an action to cast. So I'm like, is this good? Or a Vitality, which is an out of combat healing option that is a bunch of hit points, but most tables don't really need it. And then Blinding Smite, which is like a side grade to Divine Smite that you don't always want to prepare, but it can be fine if you do take it.
All right. I've got, oops, where's my list? Here it is. I've got Aura of Vitality, Dispel Magic, Revivify, Magic Circle, and Spirit Shroud. Oh,
We haven't even done worse yet.
No, feels like we could have.
List left for worst.
Oh, all right. Who went first? Is it my turn or your turn or what?
I started with Revivify, so you should do worst.
All right, I'll do worst. All right, my worst. I picked Daylight.
It's just because it's a really bright torch.
Yeah, it's light is a cantrip, and this is not a huge improvement upon it.
Nope.
I mean, it's bigger, but
yeah, that's not always to its benefit. That's also often to its downside.
Yeah, there's not much else to say about that. It's Daylight, big torch.
Yeah,
that is.
It beats third level or lower magic darkness, which will matter close to never. You can put a hat on it to shut it off, like you can snuff it with a pot. That's cute. This spell's awful.
I mean, if you want to turn it off, just don't cast it.
Yeah, that's probably a better use of your spells. I'm still baffled that a spell called Daylight doesn't do any kind of blind.
Right.
For a 3rd level slot. Like, at least on cast, let it blind, right?
Yeah.
Like, give me some reason to have light be better than just a really big flashlight. Like, this is one of those flashlights that you see that like lights up the whole of a parking lot or like a truck place where you get the overhead spotlight. It's like, that's what this is. But that's not useful in D&D as a 3rd level slot, especially at 9th level.
Yeah, this is, 3rd level spells, this is when we get Fireball. This is when spells are supposed to like really ramp up in power and we get bigger light.
And if you're a full caster, whenever the Paladins are getting this, you get 5th level spells. Those are a lot better than this in like every possible facet. I still don't think this is the worst though. I think the actual worst is Remove Curse. Just because I think Remove Curse doesn't do anything.
Doing more than Daylight. It doesn't really do anything that you can't get done with a cantrip, but I mean.
So, wait, Bob, have you read Remove Curse recently?
No.
I have an important question to ask you then. Does Remove Curse remove curses from objects?
Well, because you're asking me that, I'm gonna guess no.
Correct. It doesn't.
What does it do?
It lets you unattune to an object if it's cursed and you're attuned to it.
Oh, well, that's cool. I mean, if you got a cursed object, maybe you want to keep it cursed so you can give it to somebody.
Maybe. I guess. But what does that have to do with remove curse? Gets it off of you, I guess, and you go, oh man,
Yeah.
this boot won't. It's eating my foot. All right, I'll take it off my foot with remove curse.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
after you attune to it,
That's not nothing.
it's nothing.
Then you have a cursed boot. You go to
Assuming you get a. When's
a
the last
one.
time you
You
received
go to
a
a
cursed boot,
one-legged
Bob?
man, and what?
When's the last time you received a cursed boot?
I have not, but yeah, there's been cursed weapons before. There's one game we were playing where things got really heated, like amongst the players, because this guy kept being a dick, and like the other players started taking it personally, and a fight almost broke out. But like his weapon was cursed and making him act this way. I really don't think they needed to escalate it that far, like in real life.
Well, so I'd also point to this. Those situations they're not uncommon. Whenever people
Yeah.
run cursed magic items, like think about like the whole of Harry Potter, like Horcruxes, where you just become an absolute dick while you're wearing this thing, right? Where you're like, wow, I'm wearing this pendant that makes me hate my friends and do evil things because evil cursed item. That makes people irritated. That makes the group go, I get that you're role playing, but it's obnoxious and this is stupid.
See, the problem is like nobody else knew it was cursed. They didn't know why it was acting like a dick.
And like the situation is frustrating, and I guarantee you that DM is never going to let it happen again. Ever. And for that reason, remove curse is literally unusable at those tables now.
Maybe.
Probably. There are ones of tables that will benefit from remove curse. And let's look at the guy had a cursed item. If someone in the party could have prepared this, they wouldn't know to.
Yeah.
Right? This is unusably bad. This affects so few things. I mean, it doesn't help the bestow curse is also hot trash. And this is the solution to bestow curse. So,
All right. At your touch, all curses affecting one creature or object end. What does that mean?
It means if they're cursed by bestow curse or hex, the effect ends. Or bane. Those are the three.
All right. So I guess it goes without saying this does not remove lycanthropy.
No.
No.
I assume not. I don't know if it's coded as a curse. And I say coded because the game's kind of like programming. But
Well, I'm pretty sure it is, but
I don't know, like, okay, I'm gonna just Google, does remove curse cure lycanthropy? Also, if you're a wereborn, you definitely want to be a wereborn. Natural born lycanthropes can only be freed of their curse by wish.
if they're
But if
natural
something-
born, it's not really a curse, is it? That's
It's
just their
considered-
species.
According to the D&D RPG Stack Exchange, their first little snippet on Google says that it is quantified as a curse.
Huh.
But if
I
you're
would think
afflicted
if
by
you were
lycanthropy,
inflicted with it, that's a curse.
then
if you're-
remove curse would work.
Oh,
But again,
really?
you would much rather be a wereborn. That's so much cooler.
Well, not if you're killing your loved ones.
Yeah, but
every
that's not
full
how
moon.
lycanthropes work in 5e. Lycanthropes are just kind of like sometimes you're cooler.
Really?
Yeah. That's how I've always run them. That's how I got the impression with the Monster Manual when I read it like 10 years ago is how they worked. I'll be honest, I've run a Rare Rat relatively recently. That's like the last lycanthrope I've run, but
I mean, why wouldn't everybody just go run out and get bit then?
listen, Bob, those are the kinds of questions that are very difficult to ask Dungeons and Dragons because it doesn't have good answers for them.
I mean, if there's no downside, like I don't want to turn into a rat monster, but I wouldn't say no to have the option.
And that's why I think there generally is an upside.
All right. Yeah, I gotta look more into that. But that's not what we're talking about today.
That's true. We are very far removed from the Paladin Spells at this point. But yeah, remove curse, hot trash. Don't take it. Daylight's probably worse. You might have me be on this one. I think Daylight's probably worse than remove curse. You've convinced me somewhat that there'll be niche instances where you'll be like, oh, but you don't want to become a werewolf in this campaign, so we'll cure it.
All right. Well, that was our list. Top 5 and 1 worst level 3 Paladin spells. Tune in next week for level 4 spells. Let us know what you think down in the comments and like and subscribe and all that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.